this class, it will be a slow class. We'll be working on our hips, and we'll use a wall, and you might want to use blocks, maybe even a strap. We'll be working on opening our hips. We'll begin with our legs up the wall. Oftentimes, I want to take my pelvis close to the wall. In this case, just make sure it's a very easy action for you. You don't feel any pulling in the backs of the legs and the backs of the knees. It's not all about a hamstring stretch that we're doing right now. With your legs at the wall, your feet about hip distance apart, let your arms just draw to the side. Engage your legs. First, the right leg. Spread your toes. Draw your toes toward your shin as much as you can. Hold it there. Now, can you take your toes a little bit closer to your shins? You're really working the ankle area. In this practice, we'll be doing a lot of ankle work. And these actions will help to improve the alignment in your knees and strengthen your ankles. Release your right foot. Just let the right leg relax a little bit. Now spread the toes of your left foot. Draw your toes toward your knee. Just pause there. Now see if you can draw your toes just a little bit more, just a little bit closer to your shin. This is a strong action of your left foot. Release your left. Let the left leg relax. Now point your right toes, reach them up, and now curl your toes as if you're trying to make a fist with your right toes. For some of us, this causes a little cramping, so if that's the case with you, just release yourself out of the pose. See if you can curl your toes even more and release your right foot. Just have the right leg be very still now. Now with the left foot, point your left toes, reach them up toward the ceiling. And curl your toes as if trying to make a fist with your toes. See if you can do that just a little bit deeper in the stretch. Relax your left foot. With the right foot, spread your toes again. Draw your right toes down toward your right shin bone. Now see if you can do that just a little bit more. Draw the toes a little bit further toward the knee. Release and relax your right foot. Spread your left toes. Draw your toe tips toward your knee. You might feel quite a stretch to your calf muscle. We're actually trying to work the ankle a little bit more. So if there's such a stretch to your calf muscle, then bend your knees slightly. Draw your toes a little bit further if possible. Release your foot. Release the action. Just pause here. Sometimes your feet get a little cold, or sometimes you lose a feeling in your feet. If any of that is happening, be sure to just come out of the pose. Now draw your right knee in toward your ribs. Just give it a big hug. Release your right leg. Draw your left leg in. Once again, give it a big hug. Take your left leg up. We'll do that again. Draw your right knee in with the fingers interlaced at the shin bone. Draw it in to where it feels comfortable. And now see if you can just draw it a little bit closer. So you're really giving it a lot of juice here, a lot of action. Release your right foot. Draw your left knee in. Hug in. Now again, give it just a little bit more. See if you can really have the top of the thigh press against the ribs. Release your left leg. Bend both knees. Draw over to the right side to come to a seated pose. In a seated pose, you might want to use your blocks or blankets to get a little elevation. For those of us that are a little tight, that would be really valuable. Seated on blocks or a blanket, have your right shin in front of your left and have the shin parallel to the edge of your mat. So your heels are not real close to your pelvis. Your feet are engaged. And as you engage the feet, press the baby toe side of your foot into the mat. So it's actually a lifting quality that you get from that action. Take your hands to the mat and just walk your hands forward slightly and come to your fingertip top position. Keep pressing the legs down and just draw it down slightly. And as you do, you might get some sensations in the pelvic area. And if it feels like it's a little intense, back off. In this practice, it's a very slow and easeful way of preparing the hips for the practice. Now keep the legs as they are. Draw your chest over your right thigh. So the sternum, the middle of the chest is right over the right leg. Your hands now support you. And as you continue to work the legs, pressing the baby toe side of the foot into the mat, draw it down in the forward bend. You'll find that as you work the right hand, you can get the left hip to stabilize. And keeping that, both sit bones firmly planted, draw down just slightly. Pause there. If you feel like you can extend your left hand to the side, To get more fullness to the side body, please do that. Now lift yourself up. Come back to the center position where we started. And notice as you bend your elbows and draw your heart forward slightly, just notice how you feel a little bit more length on the left side than the right. So let's even that out. Take your hands over to the left side. Keep working the legs. Use your left hand to keep a lifting quality to the left ribs and a rooting quality to the right sit bone. Walk your right hand at the diagonal. Maybe you can inch it just a little bit further. And breathe in to the right side as you continue to work the left hand to lift the left ribs. Now come back to the center position and notice the ease that you have and the fullness of the right side, the left side. Very slowly, take yourself out of the pose, lift yourself up, and cross your legs the opposite way. Have the left shin in front, the right shin behind. Press the baby toe side of the foot. Take your hands forward, draw down. Allow an ease to your breath, a softness to your facial muscles. I'm going to slowly go into this practice of hip opening. Which also works the ankle and knee alignment nicely. Now lift up. Move toward your right side. Use the right hand to help root the left hip. Inch your left fingers just a little bit more to expand through the left side. Maybe even a little bit more. Shift back to the center position. Draw down. Allow the breath to be very easy, but keep a strong engagement of the legs. Lift yourself up. Walk your hands over to the opposite side. Get a lifting quality to the left ribs. Get a lengthening quality as you walk your right hand out at the diagonal. You feel the lengthening of the side body while you still maintain a rooted quality to your right sit bone. Come back to the center position and draw your heart forward, keeping the legs active, the breath full. Just notice how you can draw down just a little bit deeper, not too far if you're feeling like this is starting to give you a lot more sensation, then back off. Now lift yourself up. Come to a standing position. With your blocks in their tallest position, take your hands to your blocks, and if that's too much of a stretch on the back side of the legs, bend your knees. With your feet about hip distance apart, take your heels just a little bit wider away from each other. It's almost like you're slightly pigeon-toed here. Lift up your right toes and spread your right toes to stay in this easy forward fold here. But see if you can take a little bit more attention to the ankle. Can you lift your right toes up a little bit more? Breathe into it. Sometimes you get a little fatigued here, but see if you can just keep urging the toes to lift up more, spread the toes. Release your right foot down. Lift your left toes up, spread your left toes. Lift the full front part of the foot up so that you're drawing your toes toward your shin. Keep a strong action in this. Can you lift the toes up even more? Now release your left foot down. Spread the toes of both your right foot and your left foot. And with the support of the arms, lift the toes up. Lift the ball mount of the toes up. Keep on lifting the toes up as you draw the toes toward the shin bones. Keep a nice fullness in your breath. A nice engagement where you're feeling the action in the ankles. Now relax your feet down. Parallel your feet again. Place your hands right above your knees with your knees bent. Draw your heart forward and lift your chin. Exhale, draw from the navel back toward the spine so that you get fullness in the back body. Inhale, lift your sit bones. Open the chest nicely. Exhale, look in toward your heart. One more. Inhale and exhale. Place your hands to your low back and rise up to come to a wide stance. Step wide with your feet parallel. Bend your knees slightly. Draw your pelvis back. Take your hands down to the mat and pull in. Feel the engagement of your inner thighs as you pull the feet toward one another. Lift up your left toes Bend your right knee. Keep on lifting the toes up so that you feel, again, this nice engagement of the inner left thigh. Release your left toes down. Come back to the center position. Spread the right toes. Lift up the right toes. Bend your left knee. Keep on drawing the toes toward your shin bone. Strong action there. You bow forward and slightly down. Release your right foot down. Place your hands to your low back with the knees bent. Hug your elbows in to rise up. Turn your right foot, so the right foot is parallel to the long edge of the mat. Bend your right knee. And in the same way that we've been doing, lift your right toes up. Spread your right toes. Release your right toes down. Lift your heel up and drop in. Draw your heel down and spread your wings. Reach your arms up. Keep that and lean back to get a nice side stretch. Breathing in to expand the right side ribs. Take your right forearm down to the top of the right thigh and reach your left arm over your head. So you get this nice fullness in the pose. Keep rooted in the back leg and inhale, lift yourself up from the power of the back leg. Release your hands down, turn your right toes in, parallel your feet first, bend your knees, pull in, engage really firmly, draw your heart down toward the earth. With the fingertips on the floor, just move just easily, just side to side. Bend one knee, straighten the opposite, just to engage the legs with a little movement. Come back to the center position with the knees bent. Place the hands to the low back, rise up. Turn your left toes out. Line it up with the back arch. Bend your left knee. Lift up and spread your left toes. Get this nice full engagement of the leg as you're working the ankle. Draw your toes down, lift up the heel. Maybe you can drop in a little bit deeper in the pose. Release your heel down, lift your arms up to come to a strong Virabhadrasana number 2, warrior 2. Reach back. Invite a fullness to the breath. Take your forearm down to the top of the thigh. Reach your right arm up and over. Root down to rise up to come out of the pose. Release your hands and come to sit with your feet together in parsvakonasana. I like sitting on a little elevation because I'm a little stiff in the hips. If you can sit without the elevation, that's fine. Place your feet together. But not really close to the pelvis. Give yourself a little bit more spaciousness in the pose. Hold on to your shin bones, or for some of us, you can take your hands to the floor. Whatever that is for you, just draw your heart toward your feet. Maybe you can walk your hands a little bit further if you've been in the pose for a while. Just inching them further, but if you have too much feeling in the pelvic area, back off. You've probably gone too far. Just allow a nice ease to your breath. You breathe in deep and out long. Breathe in deep and out long. And again, breathe in deep and out long. Now walk your hands back so that you can draw your knees together and come to lie on your back. As you lie on your back, bring your feet together, bring your inner knees together. Keeping your knees together, reach your right leg up and keep the knees together. Activate your right toes by spreading them. Draw your right toes closer to your shin bone. Hold the position. Now see if you can draw your right toes just a little bit more toward the shin bone. You're squeezing the midline, you're hugging the inner thighs in toward this imaginary midline of your body, but you're reaching the heel away from you as the toes draw toward your knee. Keep that, see if you can go just a little bit deeper, working the toes toward the shin. Now relax your foot first. Bend your right knee and draw your right foot down. Pause here. Squeeze the midline by having the inner big toes touching, the inner knees touching. Keeping that, extend your left leg as you keep hugging in toward that midline. Spread your left toes. Draw your left toes toward your shin bone. Keep a strong engagement of the legs as you do. Keep spreading the toes. Maybe draw the toes a little bit closer to your shin bone. So you've got the full engagement from the pelvis all the way to the heel. Relax your left foot and place your left foot to the mat. Now draw your right knee in toward your ribs. Give it a hug in. Can you engage? Can you draw it in just a little bit deeper? So with the help of the arms, you've got so much hip flexion. Release your right foot. Draw your left knee in. Come to where it feels just very easeful for you. Now see if you can just go a little bit farther from there. Not causing any stress or any pain in any way. Just checking it out. Could you go a little bit deeper? Release your left foot. Draw your right knee in again. And in the same way, let's do this in 2 stages. Can you draw the thigh a little bit closer to the ribs, maybe pressing the ribs. Now engage your right foot by spreading your toes, by drawing your toes up toward your knee, maybe by extending your left leg. Now relax your right foot. Bend your left knee. Plant your left foot. Plant your right foot. Draw your left knee in. Give it a big hug. And again, maybe a little bit deeper, draw it in. Spread your left toes. Draw your left toes toward your shin. Reach your right leg out. Release your left foot, bend your right knee. Slowly straighten your legs. With your arms released, close your eyes. Enjoy a nice easeful in-breath. A long out-breath. You breathe in deep. You breathe out long. You breathe in deep. And out long. Breathe in. Breathe out long. Now allow the breath to be very free and natural. Feel completely supported. With the pelvis so heavy, allow your legs to release. Your arms to be fully supported. the breath to be very free. Enjoy this time in Savasana. Namaste.